The morning sun cast long shadows across the green fields of Haven Colony as Lisa Murphy walked through the main settlement. She loved these early hours when the air was cool and fresh, and the farmers were just starting their daily work. The colony administrator, Lisa, had seen Haven grow from a small outpost to a thriving community of 50,000 people over the past 15 years. Haven was different from other human colonies. There were no massive cities or industrial complexes here. Instead, neat farms stretched across rolling hills, connected by clean roads and dotted with research facilities. The colonists had chosen this life deliberately. They wanted peace, quiet, research, and sustainable living far from the chaos of the inner worlds. Dr. Peter Clark was already in his laboratory when Lisa stopped by the Science Center. He looked up from his microscope with a smile that made his eyes crinkle at the corners. Peter had been studying the local plant life for 12 years, and his discoveries had helped develop new medicines that benefited colonies across human space. "Good morning, Lisa," Peter said, wiping his hands on a clean towel. "The wheat harvest looks excellent this year. The soil analysis shows we're actually improving the planet's ecosystem instead of damaging it." Lisa nodded with satisfaction. This was exactly what they had hoped to achieve on Haven. Unlike other colonies that strip-mined planets or built massive factories, Haven worked with nature. The colonists grew food, conducted peaceful research, and raised their families in harmony with their environment. Jake Morrison joined them as they walked toward the administration building. As security chief, Jake was responsible for keeping order on Haven, though his job was remarkably easy. His security force consisted of 12 people who spent most of their time helping lost hikers or settling minor disputes between neighbors. The most serious crime in Haven's history had been someone stealing vegetables from a community garden 3 years ago. "Any problems overnight?" Lisa asked Jake as they climbed the steps to her office. Jake shook his head and laughed. "Mrs. Anderson's cat got stuck in a tree again. That was our biggest emergency." He wore a simple uniform with a basic stun weapon on his belt. None of Haven's security officers carried lethal weapons. They had never needed them. The three of them had coffee together in Lisa's office while reviewing the day's schedule. A new group of families was arriving next week from Earth, bringing Haven's population to exactly 50,012 people. There was a harvest festival to organize, and Dr. Clark's team wanted approval to expand their botanical research into the northern valleys. Lisa looked out her window at the peaceful scene below. Children walked to school along tree-lined paths, while their parents tended gardens or worked in laboratories. Elderly colonists sat on benches, watching the younger generation with satisfied smiles. This was humanity at its best, Lisa thought. No wars, no violence, no hatred, just people living good lives and making their corner of the galaxy a better place. The emergency alarm shattered the morning calm at exactly 10:47 local time. Lisa, Peter, and Jake rushed to the communications center where technician Bobby Williams was staring at his screens with a pale face. His hands shook as he pointed to the display showing objects approaching from deep space. "Ma'am, we've got multiple contacts incoming," Bobby reported, his voice cracking with stress. "They're big, really big. And they're not responding to our identification requests." Lisa felt her stomach drop as she watched the radar display. 12 massive objects were approaching Haven at incredible speed. Each one was larger than Haven's single defensive satellite, which was really just an old communications relay with a few sensors attached. "Are they human ships?" Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer. Human vessels always responded to identification protocols. Bobby shook his head. "No, ma'am. The computer can't match their design to anything in our database, and they're moving in a military formation." Jake stepped forward, his hand instinctively moving toward his weapon. "Should I alert my security teams?" Lisa almost laughed, but the sound caught in her throat. Jake's 12 officers with their stun weapons wouldn't be much help against 12 massive warships. Haven Colony had been designed as a peaceful settlement. They had no military defenses because they had never needed any. The alien ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel just outside Haven's atmosphere. Through the communications center's main screen, The colonists got their first look at their visitors. The ships were dark and angular, covered in weapon ports and sensor arrays. They looked like instruments of war, built by a species that understood violence in ways the peaceful humans of Haven never had. A transmission came through on all frequencies. The voice was harsh and alien, speaking through translation software. That made every word sound mechanical and cold. "Primitive humans of this world," the voice announced, "you are now subjects of the Zephyrian Empire. Surrender immediately or face destruction. You have one of your time periods called hours to comply." Lisa stood frozen for a moment, unable to process what she was hearing. In 15 years of peaceful existence, she had never imagined this scenario. Haven had no enemies. They traded with other colonies, shared their research freely, and helped anyone who asked. Why would anyone want to attack them? Peter placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Lisa, we need to make a decision quickly." She looked around the communication center at the faces of her people. Bobby Williams was barely 25 years old, fresh from Earth, and excited about his first assignment on a colony world. Other technicians were farmers and scientists and teachers, not soldiers. None of them had ever faced violence like this. Jake stepped closer to Lisa. "We could try to evacuate some people," he suggested quietly. "Get the children to the emergency shelters at least." Lisa shook her head sadly.
Jake.
"Look at those ships. They could destroy our entire settlement from orbit if they wanted to. Where could we run that they couldn't find us?" She was right, and everyone in the room knew it. Haven Colony had been built for peace, not war. They had no hidden bunkers, no secret weapons, no military training. They were exactly what they appeared to be, peaceful people trying to live good lives. The alien transmission came again more, demanding this time. "Humans, you have 45 of your minutes remaining. Surrender now or be eliminated." Lisa walked slowly to the communication console. Her hands trembled as she activated the transmission system. Around her, the staff watched with expressions of fear and sadness. They all understood what was about to happen. "This is Lisa Murphy, administrator of Haven Colony," she said into the microphone. Her voice was steady despite her racing heart. "We are a peaceful settlement with no military capabilities. We have families here, including children. We surrender to avoid any loss of life." The response came immediately. "Acceptable. Prepare for occupation forces. Any resistance will result in immediate termination." As alien shuttles began descending toward Haven's main landing area, Lisa made one final transmission. She switched to the emergency frequency that would carry her message to other human colonies and eventually to Earth itself. "Colony calling any human vessels or stations," she said, fighting back tears. "We are under attack by an alien force calling itself the Zephyrian Empire. We have surrendered to protect our civilians. Haven Colony has fallen. We couldn't fight them." She paused, looking out at the peaceful community that was about to change forever. "God help us all." The transmission ended and Lisa Murphy prepared to meet the aliens who had just destroyed her world's innocence. The people of Haven Colony gathered in frightened groups, watching as their peaceful existence came to an end. None of them knew that their capture was about to awaken something far more dangerous than they could ever imagine. 3 days after Haven Colony fell, the emergency transmission reached Earth's military headquarters. Admiral Kate Williams was reviewing fleet reports when her communication officer rushed into her office with a pale face and shaking hands. "Admiral, you need to hear this immediately," the young officer said, connecting a secure datapad to the main display. "It's from Haven Colony." Kate listened to Lisa Murphy's desperate message 3 times before she fully understood what she was hearing. Haven Colony, one of humanity's most peaceful settlements, had been captured by an alien force. 50,000 innocent people were now prisoners of war. But Kate Williams knew something that the aliens didn't know, something that would make them regret their decision very quickly. "Get me Colonel Ryan Foster immediately," Kate ordered. "Priority 1 communication to Outpost Station Omega." The communication officer looked confused. "Ma'am, our records show. Station Omega is a small research facility. Are you sure you want to contact them about a military emergency?" Kate smiled grimly. "Trust me, Lieutenant. Colonel Foster will want to hear about this. 6 hours later, the encrypted message reached Station Omega. To anyone watching from the outside, the station looked like a simple research outpost orbiting a gas giant 3 systems away from Haven. It was small, quiet, and appeared to house maybe 50 scientists studying stellar phenomena. The reality was very different. Colonel Ryan Foster was in his command center when the message arrived. The command center looked like a research laboratory to casual observers. But Foster and his staff knew better. Hidden behind false walls and fake equipment was one of the most advanced military facilities outside of Earth's solar system. Foster read Admiral Williams' message twice, then activated the station's internal communication system. All department heads to Conference Room Alpha immediately. Priority 7 authorization. Within minutes, the key personnel of Station Omega had assembled. To an outsider, they would have looked like a group of scientists and researchers. Dr. Amanda Stone appeared to be a middle-aged biologist studying alien plant samples. Major Diana Harper seemed like a young astronomer tracking stellar movements. Captain Steve Taylor looked like a geological survey specialist, but appearances at Station Omega were carefully designed to deceive. "People, we have a situation," Foster began displaying the message from Admiral Williams on the conference room screen. "Haven Colony has been captured by an alien force calling themselves the Zephyrian Empire." The room fell silent. Then Major Diana Harper spoke up, her voice cold, with controlled anger. "Haven Colony is under our protection zone, sir. Protocol 7 applies." "That's correct, Major," Foster replied. "As of this moment, Station Omega is shifting to full military operations." "Dr. Stone, how quickly can you have our weapon systems online?" Amanda Stone's mild expression changed completely. Her eyes became sharp and focused as she transformed from a harmless Rakshur into the brilliant weapons designer she really was. "All systems can be operational within 2 hours, Colonel. I'll need to run final calibrations on the new phase rifle prototypes." Captain Steve Taylor leaned forward. "What's our intelligence on this Zephyrian Empire? Do we know their capabilities?" "It's very little," Foster admitted. "But that's going to change quickly, Major Harper. I want you to prepare for deep reconnaissance. Need to know everything about these aliens before we make our move." Diana Harper nodded. Like everyone else in the room, she was much more than she appeared. Her astronomical research had actually been covered for developing the most advanced stealth and infiltration technology in human space. "I can have a reconnaissance team ready to deploy within 6 hours. Foster stood and walked to the conference room's main display. "People, for 3 years we've maintained our cover as a research station. The galaxy thinks humans are peaceful farmers and scientists who avoid conflict. That's about to change." He activated a control panel that transformed the display screen into a tactical map of local space. Red markers showed the location of Haven Colony and the estimated position of the Zephyrian fleet. Green markers indicated Station Omega's hidden resources. "The aliens think they've captured humanity's weakest colony," Foster continued. "They have no idea they've just woken up its most dangerous protector. Dr. Stone, give me a status report." On our military assets, Amanda Stone called up a series of technical displays that would have amazed any alien intelligence officer. Station Omega wasn't just hiding weapons, it was hiding technology decades ahead of anything the galaxy had ever seen. "We have 12 Ghost Division stealth ships in the station's hidden bays," she reported. "Each one is equipped with phase rifles, neural disruptors, and quantum torpedoes. The ships themselves use adaptive camouflage that makes them invisible. 2 conventional sensors." She switched to another display showing personnel records. "We have 120 Ghost Division operatives on station, all with specialized training in alien combat operations. Major Harper leads Alpha Team. Captain Taylor commands Beta Team." Foster nodded with satisfaction. The Ghost Division was humanity's most classified military unit. Officially, it didn't exist. The soldiers were recruited from special forces units across human space and given training and equipment that made them far deadlier than any alien force had ever encountered. "What about our intelligence network?" Foster asked. Captain Taylor activated another display. "We have communication links with 15 deep cover operatives throughout this sector of space. Most are posing as merchants or independent researchers. They can provide real-time intelligence on alien fleet movements. Major Harper stood up, her expression grim. Colonel, we need to move fast. Every hour we delay, those colonists suffer under alien occupation. I request permission to begin immediate reconnaissance of the Haven system. Protocol 7 gave him authorization to use any means necessary to protect human colonies. But it also required him to gather intelligence before launching major operations. Permission granted, Major. Take Alpha Team and 2 stealth ships. Want detailed information on Zephyrian fleet strength, their base of operations, and their treatment of our people. But do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Understood, sir. Dr. Stone raised her hand. Colonel, I should mention that our weapons are specifically designed to counter alien physiology. The phase rifles will penetrate any known alien armor, and the neural disruptors will shut down most alien nervous systems instantly. How do you know that? Captain Taylor asked. Stone smiled coldly. Because I've been studying alien biology for 3 years, preparing for exactly this situation. The galaxy thinks I'm researching harmless plants and microorganisms. Actually, I've been developing weapons to kill every known hostile alien species as efficiently as possible. Foster felt a grim satisfaction. Station Omega had been designed for this exact purpose, to appear harmless while maintaining the capability to destroy any threat to human colonies. The peaceful facade had worked perfectly. All right, people, here's how this is going to work, Foster announced. Major Harper's team will gather intelligence while Dr. Stone prepares our weapons systems. Captain Taylor will coordinate with our intelligence network to track all Zephyrian movements in the sector. He paused, looking at each person in the room. The aliens think they've won an easy victory against weak humans. They're about to learn that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our willingness to fight impossible odds for the people we protect. The meeting broke up as the personnel of Station Omega began transforming from peaceful researchers into the most dangerous military force in local space. Hidden weapon systems came online, stealth ships prepared for launch, and the Ghost Division began checking equipment that could destroy entire alien fleets in 6 hours. Major Harper's reconnaissance team would launch toward Haven Colony. The Zephyrian Empire had no idea that their easy victory was about to become their worst nightmare. Peaceful Research Station had awakened, and it was very, very angry. Major Diana Harper's stealth ship slipped through space like a ghost, invisible to all known sensors. Beside her in the cramped cockpit, Sergeant Paul Martinez monitored alien communication frequencies, while Corporal Amy Rodriguez tracked Zephyrian fleet movements on her tactical display. They had been observing the Haven system for 18 hours. What Diana saw made her blood boil with rage. The Zephyrians had turned Haven Colony into a prison camp. Massive force fields surrounded the settlement, and alien guards patrolled the streets with weapons drawn. The colonists were forced to work in groups under constant supervision, and families had been separated into different areas of the camp. Worst of all, Diana could see a new structure being built near the main settlement. Her ship's sensors identified it as some kind of medical facility, but the energy readings suggested something much more sinister. They're experimenting on our people, she whispered into her communication device. Colonel Foster, you need to see this data. Back on Station Omega, Colonel Foster reviewed Diana's intelligence reports with growing fury. The aliens weren't just occupying Haven Colony, they were treating the humans like laboratory animals. Medical scans showed that several colonists had been taken to the alien facility and subjected to unknown procedures. That's it, Foster declared to his command staff. We're not waiting any longer. Captain Taylor, launch Operation Ghost Strike immediately. Steve Taylor nodded grimly. He had been planning this operation since the moment they learned about Haven's capture. All Ghost Division teams are ready, sir. We'll hit their supply lines first, then work our way up to their main fleet. The first Zephyrian convoy never knew what hit them. Lieutenant Mark Cooper's team had been waiting in their stealth ship along a known supply route between Zephyrian bases. When the alien cargo vessels appeared, they seemed to be traveling through empty space. The convoy's sensors showed nothing unusual, Just the normal background radiation of deep space? Mark activated his ship's weapons systems. The phase rifles charged silently, invisible energy building up in weapons that existed outside normal space-time. When he fired, the alien ship simply vanished. No explosions, no debris, no evidence they had ever existed. Phase rifles dissolved. Matter at the quantum level, leaving nothing behind. Ghost leader to base, Mark reported calmly. Package delivered. Moving to next target. Sergeant Tony Mitchell's squad hit the next convoy 6 hours later. This time, the aliens tried to send a distress signal, but Tony's neural disruptors shut down their communication systems before any message could get through. Again, the alien ships vanished without a trace. Within 2 days, 12 Zephyrian supply convoys had disappeared along the routes to Haven Colony. The aliens began to realize something was very wrong, but they had no idea what was happening to their ships. War Commander Thexvel stood in his command center aboard the flagship, Dominator studying reports that made no sense. His supply lines were failing, but there was no evidence of enemy action. Ships were simply vanishing from space as if they had never existed. Sub-Commander Klextar Thexvel called to his intelligence officer, "What is your analysis of these disappearances?" Klextar's 4 eyes blinked nervously as he consulted his datapad. "Sir, our sensors detect no enemy vessels in the areas where our convoys disappeared. There are no weapon signatures, no debris fields, no energy readings that would indicate combat." "Then how are our ships being destroyed?" Thexvel demanded. "We don't know, sir. It's as if they're being erased from existence by some unknown force." Thexvel turned back to his display screens, his scaled skin changing color with stress. Zephyrian Empire had conquered dozens of worlds using superior technology and overwhelming force. No species had ever challenged them successfully. But these humans seemed to possess capabilities that defied all understanding. Meanwhile, Major Diana Harper had infiltrated deeper into Zephyrian space than any human had ever gone. Her advanced stealth technology allowed her to slip past alien patrol fleets and observation posts without detection. What she discovered during her reconnaissance mission horrified her. The Zephyrians weren't just experimenting on Haven's colonists. They were planning to use them as test subjects for creating hybrid soldiers. The aliens believed they could combine human adaptability with their own technology to build the perfect warriors. Diana recorded everything she saw and transmitted the data back to Station Omega. Using quantum communication systems that the aliens couldn't detect or intercept, the images she sent showed colonist children being taken from their families and elderly people being subjected to painful medical procedures. Colonel Foster Diana reported during a secure communication session, "The situation is worse than we thought. They're not just occupying Haven, they're trying to turn our people into weapons." Foster's response was immediate and cold. "Major, you are authorized to begin Phase 2 operations. Show these aliens what human weapons can really do." Diana smiled grimly. Phase 2 meant direct combat operations against Zephyrian military targets. The Ghost Division was about to reveal just how deadly human soldiers could be. Captain Steve Taylor led the first major strike against a Zephyrian military outpost. The facility was supposed to be heavily defended, with energy shields, automated weapons, and a garrison of 200 alien soldiers. Steve's team approached in 3 stealth ships, their adaptive camouflage, making them invisible to all detection methods. They landed outside the base's sensor range and approached on foot, using personal stealth fields that bent light around their bodies. The attack lasted exactly 7 minutes. Steve and his soldiers moved through the base like ghosts. They're advanced armor protecting them from alien weapons, while their phase rifles cut through enemy defenses like paper. The Zephyrian soldiers never saw their attackers, they simply found their comrades, collapsing around them as neural disruptors shut down alien nervous systems. When the attack was over, the entire base was silent. Every alien soldier was unconscious or dead, their weapons destroyed, their communication systems offline. Steve's team planted quantum charges throughout the facility and withdrew to a safe distance. The base vanished in a flash of silent light, leaving only empty space where it had been. But Steve left something behind before the explosion, a message broadcast on all Zephyrian frequencies. The voice was electronically disguised, speaking in perfect Zephyrian language through advanced translation systems. "You have captured human civilians," the message said simply. "Release them immediately. This is your only warning." The message was signed with a symbol that would become feared throughout Zephyrian space, a stylized ghost that seemed to move and shift when aliens looked at it directly. Similar attacks began happening across Zephyrian territory. Lieutenant Sarah Wilson's team destroyed a weapons depot that was supposed to be impossible to reach. Sergeant Danny Clark's squad eliminated an entire patrol fleet in deep space, leaving no trace of the ships or their crews. Each attack was accompanied by the same message: "Release Haven Colony. Is your only warning." The Zephyrians began calling their attackers the Shadow Death, an enemy that struck without warning and vanished without trace. Alien soldiers started refusing assignments to remote outposts, and some ship crews abandoned their vessels rather than face the unknown human threat. War. Commander Vexville called an emergency meeting of his senior staff. The confident alien, the leader who had icily conquered Haven Colony, was now faced with an enemy he couldn't see, couldn't track, and couldn't fight. "How many ships have we lost?" he asked his logistics officer. 47 vessels in the past week, sir, plus 6 major installations and 2 entire patrol fleets. Then, what evidence do we have of enemy presence? None, sir. Our sensors detect nothing. Our patrol ships find no trace of attackers. It's as if the humans have learned to fight from outside normal space. Vexville's confidence was beginning to crack. The Zephyrian Empire had never faced an enemy like this. Their military doctrine was based on overwhelming force and superior technology, but these humans seemed to possess capabilities that made conventional warfare impossible. "Double the guard around Haven Colony," he ordered finally, "and increase security at all our installations. Whatever these humans are using against us, we need to find a way to detect and counter it." But deep in his heart, Dexville was beginning to suspect that he had made a terrible mistake. The humans hadn't seemed weak because they lacked the power. To fight, they had seemed weak because they chose not to reveal their true capabilities. Now that choice was over, and the Zephyrian Empire was learning what humanity looked like when it went to war. Intelligence Officer Klexstar entered War Commander Vexville's private quarters with trembling hands. In his clawed grip was a datapad containing information that would change everything the Zephyrian Empire believed about humanity. "Commander," Klexstar said, his voice shaking with fear, "I have completed my analysis of the human attacks. You need to see this immediately." Vexville looked up from his meal, annoyed at being disturbed. What could be so urgent that it cannot wait until morning? Klexstar activated the datapad, and holographic displays filled the room with technical specifications and battle analysis reports. "Sir, these humans are not what we thought they were. Their technology is decades ahead of our own." The war commander's eyes widened as he studied the data. Energy weapon readings that made no sense according to Zephyrian science. Stealth technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Combat effectiveness ratings that suggested each human soldier was worth 10 Zephyrian warriors. "This cannot be accurate, Thex," Vell protested. "We observed their colony for months before attacking. They are farmers and scientists with no military capabilities." "That's what they wanted us to believe, sir," Klexstar replied grimly. "According to this analysis, the humans have been hiding their true military strength throughout the galaxy. What we thought was weakness was actually careful deception." Dexville stood and paced around his quarters, his mind racing. "Show me the weapons analysis again." Klexstar called up detailed scans of human weapons recovered from attack sites. Phase rifles operated on principles that Zephyrian scientists didn't understand. The neural disruptors targeted alien brain chemistry with impossible precision. Even their basic armor was made from materials that shouldn't exist. "How long have they possessed this technology?" Dexville asked. "Unknown, sir. But based on the sophistication of their systems, probably much longer than we initially estimated. These weapons weren't built hastily in response to our attack. They were designed specifically to counter alien threats on Haven Colony. The situation was growing more desperate by the day. Lisa Murphy had been trying to maintain morale among the prisoners, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. The aliens had separated families, forcing parents into work details while keeping children in different areas of the camp. Dr. Peter Clark had been taken to the alien medical facility 3 times in the past week. Each time he returned, he was weaker and more confused. The aliens were running experiments on human biology, trying to understand what made humans different from other species. They're looking for something specific. Peter whispered to Lisa during one of their brief meetings in the communal eating area. They keep asking about human adaptability and stress responses. I think they're trying to figure out why humans are so good at surviving in different environments. Jake Morrison had been organizing quiet resistance efforts among the security personnel and some of the younger colonists. Couldn't fight the aliens directly. They could gather information and prepare for any opportunity that might arise. Something's happening out there, Jake told Lisa quietly. The guards are more nervous every day. They're increasing patrols and checking their weapons constantly. I think someone is fighting back. Lisa felt a spark of hope for the first time since the invasion began. Human forces? Has to be, Jake replied. The aliens are scared of something, and it's not us prisoners. Meanwhile, Major Diana Harper had completed her deep reconnaissance mission and returned to Station Omega with intelligence that changed everything. She stood in the command center presenting her findings to Colonel Foster and the senior staff. The Zephyrian command structure is based on their main fortress on Haven's moon, Diana reported. They built it there thinking it would be safe from attack. Facility houses their fleet command, communication centers, and research laboratories. She activated a holographic display showing detailed scans of the moon base. This is where they're coordinating all operations in this sector. If we can take it out, we'll cripple their entire fleet. Dr. Amanda Stone studied the fortress specifications with professional interest. Their defensive systems are impressive by conventional standards, but they won't stop our weapons. The real challenge will be getting close enough to attack without being detected. Captain Steve Taylor leaned forward. What about the colonists? Are any of them being held at the moon base? Diana's expression darkened. No, but I discovered something worse. They're using Haven's people to test biological weapons. The aliens are trying to create a virus that will make humans more controllable. The room fell silent. Colonel Foster's face hardened with cold rage. They're trying to turn our people into slaves. It gets worse, Diana continued. I intercepted communications suggesting this is just a test run. If the experiments on Haven succeed, they plan to use the same techniques on other human colonies. Foster stood and walked to the tactical display. That settles it. We're not just rescuing Haven Colony anymore. We're sending a message to every alien species in the galaxy about what happens when you threaten humanity. Dr. Stone activated her weapons systems display. Colonel, I have something that might interest you. I've been working on a new weapon, system specifically for this mission. The display showed technical specifications for something called the solar flare generator. Stone explained that it could create artificial electromagnetic storms that would disable every electronic system in a star system simultaneously. You're talking about shutting down an entire alien fleet at once, Foster said with amazement. Exactly. Our ships will be helpless while our forces move in for the final attack.
How about?
But we only get one shot at this. If it doesn't work perfectly, they'll adapt their systems and we'll lose the element of surprise. Foster considered the plan carefully. It was risky, but it offered the chance to end the conflict quickly and decisively. How long do you need to prepare the weapon? 12 hours to make final adjustments, Stone replied. But I'll need all our power systems working together. The energy requirements are enormous. Captain Taylor was already working on fleet deployment plans. Sir, I recommend we coordinate the attack with simultaneous strikes throughout Zephyrian space. Hit all their major installations at the same time so they can't reinforce each other. Agreed, Foster said. Major Harper, can your reconnaissance teams identify priority targets? Diana nodded. I've already compiled a target list. Can cripple their entire military infrastructure in this sector if we hit them all at once. Foster looked around the room at his officers. These people had spent 3 years pretending to be harmless researchers while secretly preparing for this exact moment. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity was really capable of. Alright, people, this is it. In 24 hours, we're going to teach the Zephyrian Empire why you don't mess with human colonies. Dr. Stone, prepare your solar flare generator. Captain Taylor, ready all Ghost Division teams for simultaneous strikes. Major Harper, I want updated intelligence on all targets. He paused, looking at each person individually. The aliens think they've conquered humanity's weakest colony. Tomorrow, they're going to meet our strongest response. Make sure our people on Haven know that help is coming. As the meeting broke up, the personnel of Station Omega began final preparations for the largest military operation in human history. Hidden weapon systems came online throughout the station. Ghost Division soldiers checked their equipment one last time. Stealth ships prepared for coordinated strikes across multiple star systems. War Commander Thexfell had no idea that his easy victory was about to become the Zephyrian Empire's greatest defeat. The humans were done hiding their true capabilities. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn what humanity looked like when it stopped pretending to be weak. Dr. Amanda Stone stood before the massive solar flare generator, her hands moving across control panels with practiced precision. The weapon filled an entire section of Station Omega, its crystalline core pulsing with contained stellar energy that could reshape the very fabric of space. All systems are ready, Colonel, she reported to Foster through her communication device. The generator will create an artificial solar storm covering the entire Haven system. Every Zephyrian ship will lose power simultaneously. Colonel Foster nodded grimly from the command center. Around him, his officers made final preparations for the largest military operation in human history. Captain Steve Taylor was coordinating. With Ghost Division teams across 3 star systems, Major Diana Harper was positioning her stealth ships for the assault on the Moon Fortress. Remember, people, Foster announced over the command frequency, we only get one chance at this. The moment Dr. Stone activates the generator, every Zephyrian ship in the system will know we're here. We have to move fast and hit them hard before they can recover. In the Haven system, War Commander Thexfell paced nervously in his command center aboard the Dominator. His fleet of 12 massive warships orbited the human colony like predators circling wounded prey, but Thexfell no longer felt like the predator. The mysterious human attacks had made him realize he was facing an enemy far more dangerous than he had imagined. Sub-Commander Klexstar, Thexfell called to his intelligence officer, "Any new reports from our outer sensors?" Klexstar checked his displays and shook his head. "Nothing, sir. Space appears empty in all directions. But after what we've seen from these humans, that might not mean anything." Thexfell was about to respond when every screen in the command center suddenly went dark. The solar flare generator activated with a sound like the birth of a star. Waves of electromagnetic energy spread out from Station Omega at the speed of light, washing over the Haven system like an invisible tsunami. The artificial solar storm was perfectly calibrated to disrupt alien technology while leaving human systems unaffected. On every Zephyrian ship, the lights went out. Emergency power failed. Communication systems died. Weapon systems shut down. Life support switched to backup batteries that would last only a few hours. 12 of the most advanced warships in Zephyrian space became helpless hulks floating in the darkness. Now Colonel Foster shouted into his communicator. The Ghost Division fleet materialized out of empty space like avenging spirits. 12 sleek human warships dropped their stealth fields simultaneously, revealing technology that made Zephyrian vessels look primitive by comparison. The ships were beautiful and terrifying, their hulls covered in weapon systems that seemed to bend light around themselves. Captain Steve Taylor's voice came over the communication system, calm and professional despite the magnitude of the moment. "All Ghost Division ships, this is Beta Leader. Execute Operation Sister's Wrath. Disable all enemy vessels. No alien ship leaves this system." The human ships moved with deadly grace, their crews trained for this exact scenario. Phase cannons charged with quantum energy that could dissolve matter at the molecular level. Neural disruptors prepared to shut down alien nervous systems from across space. torpedo tubes loaded with weapons that existed partially outside normal space-time. But the first shots weren't fired at the helpless alien fleet. Major, Diana Harper's assault team had already landed on Haven's moon, while the Zephyrian ships floated, powerless in space. The moon fortress still had backup power systems that Dr. Stone's generator couldn't reach from such a distance. Diana led her soldiers through the fortress corridors like a force of nature. The aliens had built their stronghold to withstand conventional attacks, but human weapons cut through their defenses like paper. Phase rifles eliminated enemy soldiers. Instantly, while neural disruptors shut down security systems, the Ghost Division soldiers moved with terrifying efficiency. They had trained for 3 years specifically to fight aliens, and every piece of their equipment was designed to counter Zephyrian technology. Their armor absorbed alien weapon fire while their stealth fields made them nearly invisible even. In direct combat, Diana reached the fortress communications center and activated the emergency broadcast system. Her voice echoed across every Zephyrian frequency in the system, speaking in perfect alien language through advanced translation software. "Attention, Zephyrian Empire," she announced coldly. "This is Major Diana Harper of the Human Ghost Division. Ida made a grave mistake. You captured innocent civilians and conducted medical experiments on our people. This ends now." On the surface of Haven Colony, Lisa Murphy heard the broadcast through the aliens' own communication system. She looked up at the guards around the prison camp and saw something she had never expected to see from the proud Zephyrian soldiers. Pure terror. The alien guards were staring at their dead, communication devices and powerless weapons with expressions of complete panic. Whatever was happening in space above them, it was beyond their ability to understand or control. "Jake," Lisa whispered to the security chief who had been standing nearby, "I think our rescue just arrived." In space, Captain Taylor's fleet began. The systematic destruction of Zephyrian military power. But they weren't simply destroying the alien ships. They were making a statement that would echo across the galaxy for generations. "Attention, Zephyrian vessels. Taylor broadcasts on all frequencies. You are completely defenseless. Your weapons are offline. Your shields are down. Your life support is failing. It could destroy all of you in the next 60 seconds. He paused, letting that reality sink in to every alien crew member listening. "But we are not monsters like you. Surrender immediately and we will allow you to live. Refuse and you will share the fate of your moon fortress." As if to emphasize his point, Diana Harper's team detonated their quantum charges throughout the Zephyrian fortress. The massive structure vanished in a flash of light that was visible from the planet's surface, leaving only empty space where the enemy stronghold had been. War Commander Thexville sat in his powerless command center. Finally, understanding the full scope of his mistake, the humans hadn't appeared weak because they lacked military strength. They had appeared weak because they chose not to reveal their true capabilities. Sir Klextar said quietly, "What are your orders?" Thexville looked at his dead displays and non-functional weapons. Around him, his crew waited for commands he couldn't give. The great Zephyrian fleet that had easily conquered dozens of worlds was now helpless before an enemy they had completely underestimated. "Open a communication channel," he said finally. "If any of our systems still work." Somehow, the humans allowed the communication to go through. Thexville found himself speaking directly to Colonel Foster aboard Station Omega. Human Commander Thexville began, his voice heavy with defeat. "I am War Commander Thexville of the Zephyrian Empire. We surrender unconditionally." Foster's response was immediate and cold. "Your surrender is noted, Commander. But first, you're going to answer some questions. How many other human colonies have you attacked?" "None," Thexville replied quickly. "Haven was to be our first strike against your species. Good. That saves us the trouble of hunting down your other fleets. Now listen carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. You will withdraw all Zephyrian forces from human space immediately. You will return every human prisoner unharmed. And you will spread the word to every alien civilization in the galaxy about what happens when humanity goes to war." Foster paused, and when he continued, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "Tell them that humans appeared weak because we chose to be peaceful, not because we lacked the strength to fight. Tell them that every human colony is someone's little sister or brother, and tell them that we protect our family. The rescue of Haven Colony took only 6 hours. Ghost Division soldiers swept through the prison camps, eliminating alien guards and freeing human prisoners. Medical teams treated the colonists who had been subjected to alien experiments. Transport ships began evacuating civilians who wanted to leave, but most of the colonists chose to stay and rebuild their home. Lisa Murphy stood in the ruins of her administrative building, watching human soldiers help her people reclaim their community. Dr. Peter Clark was already making plans to continue his research, while Jake Morrison coordinated with Ghost Division security teams to establish better defenses. Colonel E.L. Foster arrived on the planet's surface as the last Zephyrian. Ships limped out of the system. He found Lisa near the memorial they were building for the colonists who hadn't survived the alien experiments. "I'm sorry we couldn't get here sooner," Foster said quietly. Lisa looked at him with eyes that had seen too much suffering, but also held new hope. "You came when we needed you most. That's what matters." Foster nodded and looked up at the sky where Station Omega was once again disguised as a harmless research facility. "The galaxy thinks it knows humans now. They think we're either helpless farmers or terrifying warriors. They still don't understand the truth." "What truth?" Lisa asked. Foster smiled grimly. "That we're both. We're peaceful people who will fight. Impossible odds to protect the ones we love. And that makes us more dangerous than any alien species will ever understand."